Right. 30 of you are okay. I am going to start the session now. While I am doing the session, then you can also try to join with the this activity session. Right. Here your subject code 2313 object oriented analysis and design. Right. The first we'll see what is about object oriented programming. Object oriented programming. In here, the first slide is a PDF document. You can download this PDF document by clicking the blue color bar at the bottom. There is a double OP PDF1. There is a name. Click on the name here. Once you click here, then you can download that document here. Here I am not giving separate notes for the subject. All the notes I am deliver as PDF. This PDF you can consider as the our notes, right? Therefore, download all the PDF notes I am giving. Then you can save this all the PDF file in one folder, or if you can get the printout and maintain a file, right? Look at the PDF here. What is object-oriented programming? Object-oriented programming is actually a way of solving problem. If we have a problem, then there are many methods that solve in the problem. That last semester you learned one way of solving the problem. That is called procedure based. That's another way of solving the problem. But the object oriented method is somewhat different, right? Somewhat different method. Object oriented. It's based on objects, real life objects, right? We know what is object, right? Under object oriented, we are going to solve problems based on object, real life object, right? Therefore, the first thing is we should want to identify what is object, right? The first thing is we are going to identify what is object, right? Before that, look at this slide here. Here it says in the example, here we are going to solve the problem based on real life situations, right? Then real life situation, then think about the manufacturing a car, right? If you want, that's the problem, right? Problem is you want to travel from one location to another location. Then how you are going to solve this problem, this traveling problem, right? The one way is you can manufacture in a car. Then once you manufacture in a car, then what are the things you have to think about? Right? Once you designing or designing, the first you want to design, after that you want to manufacture it. Once you design the car, then what are the things you want to consider? Then think about these factors. And the example here giving some factors you want to think about when you design in a car. Designing the car is the real life problem. Then that particular problem, that particular solution giving you to solution as a traveling. Then once you design in the car, you want to think about their engine type, right? Then their wheel and seats, then relationship between these different parts. Then also you want to think about the user's task also, right? After you manufacturing the car, then you deliver to the users. Then what users doing with your product, right? Then user should be able to start the car. Then users should be able to speed up, then also stop or brake the car, right? That's also you have to think about. Right? Then when you are doing something, some designing like that, then you want to think about these parts also. Right? That's the one example. Then similarly, you think about designing a home. That's another solution. Designing a home, right? Or designing another type of aeroplane, right? Motorcycle designing, right? Whatever the thing you are going to design, then you want to think these things, right? Right. Then we'll move to the second slide. Here, more concentrate on object. That earlier we identified object-oriented programming. Object-oriented programming. In here, the name suggests that word object. Therefore, we should want to exact idea about what is object. Right. Here, this second slide concentrate on object. Object means anything. Anything exists real world. Right? Anything exists in real world, we can identify it as object. Some examples you can see within bracket. It may be a pen or tree, chair, or car. In that way, some of the examples you can see within the bracket there. Object, that first thing is you want to understand object mean anything. Anything exists real world. Right? Then further we can consider this object, about the object. Object having its own factors. That's another important point. Every object has its own factors. There are two important factors like that. Here I am highlighted features and behaviors. Features and behaviors. Every object should have these two features, two factors, features and behaviors. Right? Then object එකක් කියලා කියන්නේ ඕනෑම දෙයක්. අපිට සත්‍ය ලෝකයේ පවතින ඕනෑම දෙයක් ඔබ්ජෙක්ට් එකක් විදිහට හඳුනා ගන්න පුළුවන්. දැන් උදාහරණ කීපයක් තමයි දක්වලා තියෙන්නේ වරහන ඇතුලේ. පෙන්, ට්‍රී, චෙයා ඒ වගේ දේවල්. ඊළඟට ඔබ්ජෙක්ට් කිව්වහම ඒකේ තියෙනවා ෆැක්ටර්ස් දෙකක් තියෙනවා. ඕනෑම ඔබ්ජෙක්ට් එකකට ෆීචර්ස් තියෙනවා, behaviors තියෙනවා. Then we should want to differentiate these two, features and behaviors. Right. The features mean the next paragraph here, it's explaining features, explain the own characteristic. A object එකේ තියෙන ලක්ෂණ, own characteristic. තමයි features කියලා කියන්නේ. The features explain own characteristic. Right? When in programming, in double OP programming, these features we are giving a specific name for that. Right? Normally we not mentioned as features. In double OP programming, these features are known as attributes or members attributes, or another term is variable. That's the most familiar term as a programmers. Variable is the term you most familiar. Right? In object-oriented terms, that the word is used, that variable, but most common one is attributes. Right? Here we called as members attributes. Features කියන එක අපි හඳුන්වනවා double OP programs වලදී attributes නැත්නම් members attributes කියලා තමයි identify කරන්නේ. ඒ විදිහට behaviors. Right? Behaviors define the motion abilities. Motion abilities of the object that later you will understand very clearly in detail. For the moment, think about the behaviors mean motion abilities, moving, right? Motion abilities. In double OP terms, behavior we can identify it as, we can term it as member methods. Member methods or functions. That the familiar term is function. That last term you learned about functions, right? Function oriented. that another name for procedure based, that function oriented, right? In that way, you learn in last term. In object oriented, we together these functions and the variables in one place, right? That is called object. That object oriented programming, we think about the real life object. Then there are two factors we should want to consider: these features and the features in object-oriented terms called as attributes, and behaviors. In behaviors in object-oriented termed as methods. Right. These are the things you want to understand up to now. Look at the example here also. Car object. Think about a car object here. Car එකක් කියන object එක ගැන හිතන්න. Right. එතකොට මොනවද මේ members, member attributes? It should be member attributes, right? Member attributes explain the characteristic of the object. That color, car color, there are different types of colors available with the car, right? This color mean characteristic. Or model, right? Model, engine type or engine number. These are the some features or characteristic with car object, right? Member attributes. Then look at the methods. The methods mean motion abilities. It's explain the motion abilities. Move, stop, accelerate, right? These are the some methods available with car, right? එතකොට මේ car කියන object එක ගැන හිතුවොත් එහෙම ඒකේ තියෙනවා member attributes. ඒකට ආවේනික වෙච්ච ලක්ෂණ අපි කියලා කියනවා. ලක්ෂණ. නේ කාර් එකක් ගත්තොත් color එකක් තියෙනවා. model number එකක් නැත්නම් model එකක් තියෙනවා නේ. අපි කියන්නේ ඔය models Toyota එක එක වර්ග කියනවනේ. ඒ වගේ models. Then engine number. Right? අපි engine පරීක්ෂා කරලා බැලුවොත් ඒකේ number එකක් තියෙනවා. එම හඳුනා ගැනීම සඳහා characteristic ලක්ෂණ. Methods තියෙනවා. Methods තියෙන එක ක්‍රියාකාරීත්වය සඳහා. ඒ object එකේ වැඩක් ගන්න අපිට. Right? මොනවා හරි දෙයක් කරව ගන්න. වැඩක් ගන්න තමයි methods තියෙන්නේ. The methods available to do something. Right? අපිට ඒ object එක එක තැනක ඉඳලා තව තැනකට ගෙනියන්න. If you want to move the object from one location to another location, then move object, right? Move method, move. නේ අපි එක ඔන්න ගමන් කරනවා. ගමන් කරගෙන යනකොට ඒක නවත්තන්නත් පුළුවන් වෙන්නේ එහෙනම් stop method, right? Then ගමන් කරගෙන යනකොට හයියෙන් යන්න ඕනේ, accelerate. These are the methods you can identify. And right, I think you get some idea about these points here. Is it clear up to now? Please provide your feedback also. Is there any problem? මොනවා හරි ගැටලුවක් තියෙනවා නම් අහන්න. What about other? Only one student says clear for now. But I assume that others also okay with up to now. Then we'll before we move to the next one, yeah, I am going to summarize it again, what discussed up to now. Okay. Okay, here we are discussing about the object. Object meaning anything exists in real world. That's some examples you can see within the bracket. Pen, trees, just like that. If you consider the object, there are two main factors, features and behaviors. The features explain the characteristic of objects. Uh, Behaviors explain the motion skills of the motion abilities of the object, right? Here we discuss some example also. Car object. If you consider the car object as the color, model, names, engine number can be identified as the member attributes. Move, stop, or accelerate we can identify it as a methods, right? Then look at another term. It is very important term, class. And object-oriented programming, it is very important and common term called class. Class we can identify it as set of objects. That earlier we learned what is what is object, right? Then what we are doing is we are going to collect all the objects that having similar behaviors and similar attributes. That earlier we learned what is attribute, what is behaviors. Right now we are going to collect all the objects that having similar behaviors and similar attributes, and we are going to put these things in one location. That particular location is called as class. Then look at the definition here. Class can be identified as set of objects that having similar features and similar behaviors. Right? Similar features and behaviors. අපි objects දැන් ඉස්සෙල්ලා අපි ඉගෙන ගත්ත object එකක් කියන්නේ මොකක්ද කියලා. What is object? ඒකම අපි ඉගෙන ගත්ත object එකක් සතුව තිබිය හැකි factors දෙකක්. Features and behaviors. දැන් මොකද කරන්නේ? මේ සමාන ලක්ෂණ සහ සමාන හැසිරීම සහිත සියලුම objects ටික අපි එකට එක්කව කරනවා. එකට එකතු කරලා එක තැනක තියා ගන්නවා. Now we are going to what we are going to is collect all the objects that having similar features and behaviors. සමාන ලක්ෂණ සහ සමාන හැසිරීම් සහිත සියලුම object ටික අපි ඔන්න එකතු කරගන්නවා. එකතු කරගෙන එක ලාච්චුවකට අපි දානවා. එක තැනක තියාගන්න. Right? We are going to keep in another place, one unique place. මෙන්න මේ place එක තමයි අපි කියන්නේ class එකක් කියලා. That is called class. Right. Then look at some example here. Vehicle class. This rectangle is represent the class. Right? This vehicle class having car, van, lorry, motorbicycle, like that. If you consider these items, car, van, lorry, all of these items having similar features and similar behaviors. Therefore, we can collect all of these objects into one place that is called vehicle. This vehicle class having items that having similar features and similar behaviors. If you for example compare car and van, right? Both vehicle we are using to move from one location to another location. That's a similar behavior. Right? If you compare the car and lorry, also has similar behaviors. Right? Then also having similar features. Right? Both of these vehicle having model numbers. That's a similar feature. Therefore, we can collect all the objects that having similar features and similar behaviors, and we can put into one location that is called vehicle class. Right? In the vehicle class, all of these items we called as objects. Another name for that, instances. another name for object is instances. That's object oriented term. That's also remember this name. The later we referred as instances, not object. Therefore, another name for object is instances. Instances. Right. Then look at the table in front. Here giving some more example regarding these classes and objects. Right. Then look at some class name. The first one, fruit class. Fruit. Then try to identify some object in the fruit class. Apple, banana, mango. All the type of fruits available in this fruit class. Then animal. If you consider the animal class, then all the animals in this class, dog, cat, elephant, like that, all the animals of this, all the animals having with this class. Then a tree, right? All the type of trees available with this tree class. Later, you can divide this class into subcategories also, right? For example, animal class. Then you can categorize this animal class based on some features of the animal, right? Then flying animals and cannot the animals who cannot the fly. In that way, you can identify subcategories also. Right? Then later you can do it. But now identify that complete class, right? That fruit class, animal class, and tree class. These are the some example for these classes. Right. These are the some initial things regarding the object-oriented method solving the problem. Right. That before moving to the next categories, next part, then we should want to do one activity here. In this note, you have in pre-slide here. Download this slide, then keep it in your own folder. Right now, back to the our session. Right. I think all of you are now in this activity session here. Back to the activity session. If you are having any trouble with doing activities here, then I can give another activity code. Right? Those who are having trouble with doing the activities with the previous code, those only for those who are having some trouble with doing activities with previous code. Use the this one. Use this one, right? Right. Otherwise, you continue the previous one. Here, I think you having uh, 10 questions. Try to complete this question here. All questions here, multiple MCQ type questions. MCQ type questions here. I think in your computers, in your devices, now you can display this set of question here. Some of the things we learned earlier, but some of the things you have to guess, right? Then who invented double OP? That please guess the name and mark the correct answer. Right. Then later you can find the answer for these questions. Right. Now you can start it. Only 6 minutes available to complete the answers. Right, now you can do it, right? Now time to start the activity. Only 6 minutes available. Now start counting the time. ජොයින් වෙන්න බැරි වෙච්ච අය ඉන්නවනම් මේ පස්සේ දුන්න link එකෙන් join මේ code එකෙන් join වෙන්න පුළුවන්. chat box එකේ අර අන්තිමට දීලා තියෙන code එකෙන් link වෙන්නත් පුළුවන්. සමහර විට 40 පයින්නකොට join වෙන්න බෑ කියලා එනවා. එතකොට මේක පාවිච්චි කරන්න. මේ join වුණාට question පෙන්වන්නේ නැහැ කියලා question එකක් දාලා තිනවා කවුරු හරි. අර අන්තිමට දීලා තියෙන අනිත් code එකෙන් join වෙලා බලන්න TWEJ7 කියන එකෙන්. Try to join in the last code I provided TWEJ7. Try with that code. ඉස්සෙල්ලා කෝඩ් එකේ අයට මිනිත් තව තප්පර 50ක් විතර තියෙන්නේ. ඒකත් ඉක්මන් කරන්න බලන්න. කලින් කෝඩ් එකේ අයට තප්පර 45ක් විතර තියෙන්නේ. That one is finished, that previous code. Please wait until finish the others also, right? Only 50 seconds remaining for the last set of students also. Right. The time is over now for the both sessions. We'll see the answers now. The last session, last code students here. Maximum marks they are getting Malsha 10 out of 10. Yes, Sumeda also 10 out of 10 getting. Then previous score, Mohammed Nasik 10 out of 10. That means all the questions are correct. The Pawan also 10 out of 10. Hana 10 out of 10. Yes. 4 students getting the maximum marks here. Some of you are not answers. I don't know the reason for why. When I am doing the activities, please try to do these activities, right? Gayatri, Chamara, these students are not answers even one question. Herat, Prabodhya, Vatsala, Nipuna, right? Then like that, there are some students not even giving single answers for the questions. Right, okay. Then we'll discuss the questions. The first question, who invented double OP? Here the answer should be Alan K. Alan K is the person who responsible to inventing double OP, object-oriented program. Right. I think most of you students are giving correctly answer for this question. Yes, question number 1. No one giving the wrong answer. Afra Jabir only giving the wrong answer for that question. Yeah, another students giving the wrong answer, right? Most of you are wrong with the question number 8, I think. Question number 8. Right. Okay, we'll discuss all the question, then you can understand the others or other things also. Right, second one. Which was the first purely object-oriented programming language developed? Discussing about the programming languages, object-oriented programming languages, the first one is Smalltalk. Smalltalk is the first one. Then C++, Java are after that. They are invented after that, right? Smalltalk is the first one. And then next question, which was the first purely, this is the one we discussed. When double OP concept did first came into picture? 1970s. The first introduced double OP concept to the world. Right? Then two main factors that every object must have. What are the two main factors that every object must have? Features and behaviors. Features and behaviors. Then question number 5. In double OP terms, features of objects are known as features of objects. Member attributes. The object-oriented programming වලදී features කියනවා. Object එක features කියනවා හඳුන්වන technical term එක තමයි attributes. Member attributes කියලා කියනවා. නැත්නම් member variable also correct. Right? Member variable also correct. Right. Then we'll move to the next question. in double OP terms, behavior of object are known as behaviors. What's the technical term given for behaviors in the object? Member methods, or member function also correct. Right, question 5 and 6, then we'll see how students is 5 and 6, they are giving answers. Question number 7, identify the correct set of features in a motorcycle object. Features, identify the correct set of features. That means member attributes. Then you want to identify correct set of member attributes of the motorcycle object. Right. Then first look at the first answer: color, model number, stop. Right. Here, color and model number are characteristic or features, but stop is something related with motion abilities. Right. They are going to stop. Right. It's a motorcycle is the moving object. If you want to stop the motorbike, then you want to apply stop activity. Stop is therefore we can categorize under behavior. Therefore, color, model number are character attributes, but stop is behavior or method. The question asks correct set of features or attributes. Therefore, the first answer is not the correct one. Second one, number of wheels, capacity of petrol tank, type of oil applied. That's all of these items relate with characteristic. Therefore, the answer is B. However, look at the next one. Seat color, maximum speed, accelerate. Here, the accelerate is something related with the motion abilities. Therefore, accelerate you can consider as a behavior. Last one, accelerate, stop, jumping. That's completely, these are related with motion skills. Therefore, the answer should be B. Identify the correct set of behaviors in student object. Behaviors. In this time, they are asking behaviors of student object. Name, height, hair color, and walk. What can you say about that? Name, height, and hair color. මේවා සාමාන්‍යයෙන් ලක්ෂණ. පුද්ගලයෙකුගේ තිබිය හැකි ලක්ෂණ. අපි කියනවා features, characteristic නැත්නම් object oriented වලින් කියනවා නම් attributes. But walk කියන්නේ මොකද්ද? ඇවිදගෙන යනවා. ඒක behavior එක. Right? Walk කියන්නේ behavior එක. ඒ නිසා සම්පූර්ණයෙන්ම behaviors නෙමෙයි තියෙන්නේ මේ පළවෙනි answer එකේ. B answer එකේ talk කියන එක behavior එකක්. නමුත් weight, age, body color කියන ඒවා characteristic. තුන්වෙනි answer එකේ age, name, run, jump. මෙතනදී age කියන එක characteristic, but name, age and name characteristic, but run and jump are behaviors. But in the last answer, run, talk, eat, and jump. These are completely behaviors for the student object. Therefore, the answer should be D. මේක තමයි වරද්දන් තිබ්බේ ගොඩක් අය. දැන් තේරුණාද ඒක? What about the situation now? Is it clear? Is there any doubts or any unclear things? Then you can ask now. Is it clear now, this question? Question number 8. Most of you are wrong with this question. That's why this explaining. Right, only one student says yes, clear. What about the others? Right, okay, then please send the feedback when I am asking to you. Then otherwise I don't know you understand or not. Therefore, it is important your feedback when I am asking. Is it clear or some type of question? Then at least through the chat box, giving yes or no. Right? Okay. Three students giving some feedback. It says clear. Therefore, I am continuing. The next question. The unit that having similar features and behaviors are known as what? Hmm? Can someone tell me? Unmute your mic and tell me someone what the answer is. What's the name we are giving to having similar features and behaviors?
Class, sir.
Class, is it? It is class. That's correct, right? Okay, then next question. Another name for object in class. Another name, instances. Instances. Right. That's the answers for our first activity. Right. It is very important to complete these activities. All the recorded keep in here. Right. I know who are the submitted answers and not submitted. Right. Therefore, it is very important. I am going to show now your syllabus. Then you will get some idea. Right here, I think all of you can see. This is your syllabus, 2313. Here I am 60 hours together. Especially, I want to concentrate the way of evaluate assessment types, right? You are evaluate from continuous assessment and end of semester examination. Right? To evaluate, you have two categories. One is continuous assessment, the other one end of semester examination. End of semester examination, you will have a structured paper. Then 50 marks. You can earn 50 marks from the end of semester, but it is not enough for the pass. Right? Only 50 marks you can get the year end of the semester examination. But the other second way of evaluating is continuous assessment. Another 50 marks for continuous assessment. The continuous assessment means whatever the assessment you are completing through the classroom. Right? Inside the classroom, whatever the assessment or activities you are completing during the class hours. That is called continuous assessment. This continuous assessment again divided into two. The one part giving 35 marks, the other one 15 marks. Right? Look at this 15 marks part in class activities, discussion, group work, and tutorial. Right? These are the activities. Actually, the activity one we completed now, categories under that one, 15 marks. Therefore, whatever the activities you are doing through with me can be considered as a marks, right? Final marks. the 35 marks is assignment that later I will give assignment. Then you can submit the answer for this assignment. Then you can earn 35 marks for that. Then consider about these 15 marks. That's the point I want to concentrate you. Whatever the activities we are doing here can be categorized as a marks activity. Right. If you are having some interruption with links or any network issues, please inform me if you are not doing the activity because of this reason. Right. At the end of the lesson, end of the day, please send me a message through my personal WhatsApp. That I will give the number for that also. Right. Because one student's asking that problem couldn't go through the link because of interruption and network issues. Then the other students say can't see screen. Here actually, if you are not seeing the things, my screen things, then the problem with your computer, not here, right? I am properly sharing the. All of you can see this one. හැමෝටම පේනවාද මේ සිලබස් එක දාලා තියෙන එක? ඔව්. අනිත් අයට පේනවා. ඒතර පේන්නේ නැත්තම් කාට හරි ඒ ඉෂුව එක තියෙන්නේ ඔයගොල්ලන්ගේ පැත්තෙන් තියෙන්නේ ඉෂුව එකක්. හරි? ගොඩක් අයට පේනවා කියලා දාලා තියෙනවා. ඒ නිසා චුට්ටක් බලන්න පොඩ්ඩක් ආයේ මිනිමයිස් කරලා ස්ටොප් කරලා එහෙම බලන්න. එතකොට හරියයි. හොඳයි. එතකොට මෙතන සිලබස් එකේ අවුට්ලයින් එක මේ තියෙන්නේ. සෙක්ෂන් 10ක් තියෙනවා. ඒවා අපි මම සිලබස් එක දාන්නම් groups වලට. එතකොට බලන්න ඩීටේල් සිලබස් එකකුත් මේකේ තියෙනවා. right. ඒතර අපි අද කවර් කරන්න උත්සාහ කරන්නේ මේ පළවෙනි chapter එකට අදාළ sessions ටික. right. හොඳයි. එහෙනම් අපි නැවත පාඩමට යමු වෙමු. right. activity එකෙන් පස්සේ අපිට එනවා double OP programming with C++ තියෙන එක. right. මේක තව another PDF document here. Please click on the OOP PDF2. Download this document to your computers. Then අපි earlier learned what is we giving some introduction, initial introduction to what is object-oriented programming. Right. In that case, we learned the difference between what is object and the class. Difference between object and class. Right. That class mean class having the object that having similar features and behaviors. That's the relationship. Right. Class is the larger one. Inside class having all the object. Right. Then how you are going to use this object-oriented concept with C++ programming? That's the things we are going to identify here. Right. When you are doing C++ programming, the first thing, right? If you want to build up a C++ program under object-oriented concept, the first thing is you want to create the class. Right. That after giving the problem, the first thing is you want to analyze the problem. Right. After analyze the problem, that what you are doing the last, what we are doing under procedure basis, just start writing the program, or you are built up some flowcharts or algorithm. Based on this flowchart and algorithm, you develop the program. Right? That's the way how you develop program under procedure. But in the object-oriented program, once given the problem, the first thing is you want to analyze it. This time we are not going to design in flowchart or algorithm. Right? That instead flowcharts and algorithm, the later we will learn another type of graphical representation method like state diagrams or UML diagrams. Right? These things we learned later. Right? Our great percentage of our syllabus allocate for this part also, designing. Right? Then later you will learn how to draw this case diagram, UML diagram, state diagrams, those things. Right? Once you having the problem, then you want to design it like flowchart in under procedure base. Right, but initial in this case, that state we are not going to design in the creating the UML, that later you will learn. Before that, once you having the problem, then the first thing is you want to create the class, that you have simple idea about the class. Right? You have simple idea about the class. Therefore, the thing is you still don't know how to create it using C++. Right? The first thing you want to create the class. Once you create the class, then you want to define the members and methods. You have idea about simple idea about the members and methods, but still don't know how to assign, how to define within the class. Right. After you define the members and methods, then you want to create the objects. Right. These are the 3 steps you want to concentrate when creating the C++ programming under object-oriented concept. Right. Object-oriented concept වලින් C++ program එකක් අපි කරනකොට අපි අවධානය යොමු කළ යුතු කරුණු 3 තමයි ඔය තියෙන්නේ. ප්‍රධාන කරුණු 3. මුලින්ම අපි ක්ලාස් එක හදා ගන්න ඕනේ. ක්ලාස් එකක් කියන්නේ මොකක්ද කියලා දන්නවා. නමුත් තාම දන්නේ නැහැ කොහොමද හදන්නේ කියන එක. ක්ලාස් එක හැදුවෙන් පස්සේ ඒකේ ඉන්න මෙම්බර්ස්ලා අපි ඩිෆයින් කරන්න ඕනේ. ඒත් අපි ඉස්සෙල්ලා ඉගෙන ගත්තා ක්ලාස් එක ඇතුලේ ඉන්නවා ඔබ්ජෙක්ට්ස් තියෙනවා. ඒවට behaviors attributes තියෙනවා. ඊට පස්සේ behaviors තියෙනවා කියලා ඉගෙන ගත්තා. ඒත් ඒවා අපි ඩිෆයින් කරන්න ඕනේ ක්ලාස් එක ඇතුලේ. ඊට පස්සේ අවසානයේට අපි ඔබ්ජෙක්ට් හදලා ඔය ඔබ්ජෙක්ට් එක තමයි පාවිච්චි කරන්නේ. Then last we should want to create the object. This is the object we are going to use for our solutions. When creating the program, when following these 3 steps, then also you want to consider these 3 points also. Right? That look at the first one, classes must be created before starting the main program. Right? That we know what is main program. Before starting the main program, you must create the classes. Right? You must create the classes before starting the main program. That's the first point you want to remember. Then second point says all members and methods. All members, here the member means member attributes, right? All member attributes and methods must be inside the class. Must be inside the class. That's the second point you want to remember when following these 3 steps. This is the second point you want to remember. Then third point, object must be created inside the main program. Object must be created inside the main program. Right? When you are following these 3 steps, please remember these 3 important points also. Now we'll move to the next session, how to create in the class. Then we'll see creating classes. Right. Then I will show it how to create in it. Wait until I am loading my whiteboard. I think now you can see my whiteboard here. Here we are going to learn creating classes. Right. This object-oriented programming, we started learning with objects. Right. That first we learn what is object. Right. Then object factors like attributes and behaviors. Then we learn classes. That's the order we learn. Right. Object-oriented program. The first we learn what is about objects. That's the way we start objects. Then object factors like features or attributes and methods, right? Attributes and methods. Then we learned about classes, right? That's the order we learn. But we are doing something practically. The first thing is we should want to create the class. Then we should want to define the attributes and methods. Finally, we are creating the objects. අපි ඉගෙන ගන්නකොට මුලින්ම ඔබ්ජෙක්ට් එකක් කියන්නේ මොකක්ද? ඊට පස්සේ ඔබ්ජෙක්ට් එකක් සතුව තියෙන ඒ ලක්ෂණ සහ හැසිරීම් ගැන ඉගෙන ගත්තා. ක්ලාසස් කියන්නේ මොකක්ද කියලා ඉගෙන ගත්තා. ඉගෙන ගන්නකොට පිළිවෙල එක ඔබ්ජෙක්ට් දෙක attributes and methods, then thirdly we learn about the classes. What we are doing practically, these things we are going to create the programs. In that case, the first you want to create the classes. Order එක මාරු වෙනවා. මුලින්ම classes create කරන්න. ඊට පස්සේ attributes behaviors define කරන්න. Finally, objects හදන්න. Right. Therefore, the first thing we are going to learn here, creating classes. Class එකක් අපි හදන්නේ මේ විදිහට. Use කරන්න class කියන keyword එක. Right. First, you want to use the keyword class. Class. Right. Remember, these words characters should be writing simple letters. Simple letters. Right. Class should be writing simple letters. Don't use capital letters. Right. That sometimes some students try to start that first word capital C, then simple class. Right. This is wrong. First use the class keyword, then class name, right? Class name. Class name. Right here I am giving the syntax, right? Syntax of the class. Syntax. I think you know the difference between the syntax and the syntax. This is the syntax, the start with class, then class name. After that, next line, start giving the bracket, this curly bracket. Open the curly bracket here. Open curly bracket. Right. Open curly bracket. Right. Then inside the curly bracket, you are going to define attributes, class attributes, and the methods. This is the place where you define all the attributes and the methods. Right. Therefore, you can write down here, define members, member attributes. Member attributes and methods. Attributes and methods. Then close the curly bracket. Once you open here, after you define all the members and methods, then you want to close. Right. මේ විදිහට තමයි class එකක් අපි define කරන syntax එක. Right. This is the syntax of a class. class කියන keyword එකෙන් පටන් ගන්න. Then class name එක එනවා. ඊට පස්සේ open කරන්න curly bracket, open the curly bracket. Within the curly bracket අපිට දෙන්න ඕනේ මේ attributes, class attributes ටිකයි methods ටිකයි දෙන්න. ඊට පස්සේ අවසානයේට මේක වහන්න. Right. Then see an example. Suppose you want to create a car class or vehicle class. You want to create a vehicle class. Class name is this time vehicle class. Then we'll see this example. Look at the example here. Right. Here I'm going to create in a class called vehicle. Right. Then tell me what the keyword here I am going to start to create the vehicle class. Keyword class. Yes. Then give a space here. Right. Space. Right. This symbol indicate the space. Class. After giving the space, then give the class name. Class name vehicle. Vehicle. දැන් ඉස්සෙල්ලා syntax එක ලියද්දී මෙතන මේ space එක තියෙනවා. right? Space එක මම ඉස්සෙල්ලා ඒ symbol එක දැම්මේ නැහැ. Space එක තියන්න. Space එකෙන් පස්සේ මෙතන මම මේ angle bracket එකක් දාලා තියෙනවා. right? ඒ syntax එකට විතරයි. right? This angle bracket use this angle bracket only for the syntax. right? Only for the syntax. right? If you are doing the actual example, no need to put this angle bracket. Without angle bracket, just give in the class name. Remember that point. Only angle bracket you are using if you are write down the syntax. If you are write down the actual things, no need to give in angle bracket. Only the space here. Class vehicle. Right. Then next line, open the curly bracket. Right. Now you can define member attributes or member methods. Attributes or methods. Right. Normally, when we are defining the attributes, there are some specific terms available that later you will learn these things also. For the example, for the vehicle here, suppose there is attribute model number. Right. Therefore, you want to assign the model number as the attribute. Model number as the attribute. It's a number. Therefore, suitable data type is integer. Then you can use int data type. Then give the attribute name. Model number. Then color, if you want to define color, for example, suppose color normally string value. Therefore, character or string variable, you can use it to define the color. Suppose string color. Then if you want to assign a behavior or method, suppose this car, you want to move from one location to another location. Therefore, suppose there is a method called move. Then you can just put here move like that. This rounded bracket indicate that particular one is a method. Rounded bracket say this name of this method is a method. Make a method එක කියන එක indicate කරන්නේ මෙන්න මේ rounded brackets වලින්. rounded bracket used to indicate that particular one is a method. Right, now close the bracket, then remember this one also, semicolon at the end. Right. Here also need this semicolon under syntax. Right. Right. Okay. I think it is clear now how to create in the classes. Is it okay? Is there any doubts or unclear things? It's the syntax for creating class. Then example here. Right, now back to the presentation again. Creating class. Right. Here look at the syntax. Class name, instead of angle brackets here I am giving the rounded bracket. No problem here. That's okay. Then open curly bracket. Then members need here a special term called access specifiers. Once you assign members or methods, you want to assign this access specifier also. Right? Once you assign members or methods, this access specifier is also need. There are three types of access specifiers: private, public, or protected. Normally, these access specifiers we are using to giving some security for our variable, security for our members. Therefore, it need to specify these access specifiers. Access specifiers available for this member attributes as well as methods also. That later you will learn again in detail how to use this access specifiers also. Right, this is syntax. Then look at the example here. Student. Here in this example, class name is right. That try to answer these questions. What's the class name of here in this example? Student. Student. Class name is student. Good. Right. Then name one member attribute. Age or name. Age or name. Right. Most of you are trying to give in the answer through the chat box. Right. Then what is the access specifier for the method in this case, in this class? What is the access specifier for the method? Access specifier public. Public. Then what's the name of the method in this class? Okay. Okay. Good. Most of you are giving answers correctly. In that way, you want to identify the content, how to create it, then content of the class, and the other access specifiers and all of these things, right? Here, access specifier for the method is public. If you want these access specifiers, you can specify for the attributes also. Default access specifier for the members is public. Attribute for private. Right? Default access specifier for the attributes or methods in the class is private. Default one is private, right? Okay, now we'll see how to create an object. How to create object. creating objects. Right. Earlier we learned creating classes. After you creating the classes, then you want to define attributes and methods. Once you define the attributes and method, then you want to create in the object. Right. That remember all the objects you want to create in the main program. Therefore, assume that you are now in the main program. After inside you are in the main program, then you can create object. How you are going to create the object is use class name. Right? This is the syntax. Start with class name. Then put the space, give the object name. Right, first give the class name, then object name. This is the way how you can create the object. Right. For example, that earlier we created a vehicle class. Now you want to create, suppose, a car. In the vehicle class, you want to create a car object. Right. Now, in the example explaining it, class name, the first start with the class name. Class name vehicle. Right. Class name vehicle. First write down the class name, then give the space object. Object name is car. Object name is car. Then put the semicolon at the end of the statement. And that's the way how you can create the object. Similarly, you can create many number of objects using the class name. Right? If you want to create two cars, then you can say car 1, car 2. In that way, you can define it. If you have more than one object, then C1, C2, C3. In that way, you can define the creating the object. Right. That's the way how you can create object. The next important thing is, once you create the object, then you want to assign the values. That's also important. After you create the object, then you want to assign the values to it also. Right? Now here, for example, C1 object, then you want to assign color. C1 is white. C1 is a car. The color of that car is white. Then you want to assign it. Then how you are going to assign it? If you want to assign the values, for the object, use dot operator. And for example, in this example, suppose that earlier yes, in the class vehicle, we have string variable called color. Now you want to assign a value white as a color for this C1 car. Right? In the vehicle class, you have the attribute color. Now you have C1, that's the first car, C1. Now you want to assign the color for C1. How you are going to assign? The value is use dot operator. Here, see the example. Object name. The first you want to type the object name. I am going to give in syntax first. First, see the syntax. That one student suggests through the chat box C1.color. Right. We'll see is it is correct or not. Right. Look at the syntax. Under syntax, first object name. Object name. Dot operator. Next dot operator. Then attribute name. Attribute name. I am write down in next line. In your case, don't use the next line to write down the remaining part. Attribute name equal value. Equal value. Right. This is the syntax for assigning values for objects. Assigning values for objects. Right. Now see the example. Now you want to assign white color for C1. Right. C1 is the car. You want to assign white color. Right. The object name. First object name C1. Then dot operator. Then what's the attribute name? Color. Attribute name color equal white. Equal. In this way, you can assign the values. මුලින්ම object name එක. Object එක අපි හදනවනේ. Object එක class name එක භාවිතා කරලා අපි හදනවා. මේ තියෙන්නේ object එක හදපු තැන. Class name එක භාවිතා කරලා object එක හදනවා. ඉතින් අපි vehicle class එකේ object තුනක් හැදුවා. C1, C2, C3 කියලා. අපි තුන් car තුනක් කියලා. එහෙනම් මේ car එකට තියෙනවා color එකක්. ඒක අපි vehicle class එකේ define කරා. මේ තියෙන vehicle class එක උඩ. ඒකේ තියෙනවා model number color කියලා attributes දෙකක් දීලා. එතන මේ color කියන attribute එකට තමයි අපි value එකක් assign කරේ. එහෙනම් අපි මුලින්ම class එක හදන්න ඕනේ. දැන් object එක හදන්න ඕනේ. දැන් object එක හැදුවා. ඊට පස්සේ හදපු object එකට value එකක් අපි assign කරා. c1.color equal y. Right. Then back to the presentation again. Here you will have another example under creating object. Right. Consider the following point. When you are creating the object, these are the points you want to consider. That earlier I explained in it. Object must be created inside the main program. That's the first point you want to remember. Object must be created inside the main program. Then creating the object, the second point you want to remember, use class name to create the object. Right? How you are going to create in the object is using the class name. Then third point you want to remember, use dot operator to assign the values. Use dot operator to assign the values. Right? මෙන්න මේ කරුණු තුන මතක තියාගන්න object එකක් හදනකොට වැදගත් වෙනවා. Object එකක් හදද්දී main program එක ඇතුලේ object එක හදන්න. Object එක හදනකොට class name එක භාවිතා කරන්න. Class name. ඊට පස්සේ හදපු object එකට අපි values assign කරද්දී dot operator එක use කරන්න. Dot operator එක හරහා තමයි අපි values assign කරන්නේ. කවුරු හරි මට කියන්න values assign කරන ක්‍රම මොනවද? What are the methods available to assign the values to attributes or methods? Hmm. One way of assigning the values to the attributes that earlier I explained. Just put the equal symbol and right hand side of the equal symbol, just put the name of the value. What's the other way? Values assign කරන ක්‍රම දෙකක් තියෙනවා. එකක් තමයි සමාන කිරීමේ ලකුණ දාලා එහා පැත්තේ අපි ලියනවා අදාළ value එක. හරියට අර අපි int age සමානයි 18යි කියලා ලියන්නේ. නේ? C++ වල අපි ලියනවා නේද int මේ විදිහට අපි assign කරනවානේ values නේ. int කියන්නේ data type එක. ඊට පස්සේ variable name එක. ඒ මේ variable name එක තමයි අපි attributes කියන්නේ object oriented වල. ඕකට value එකක් දානවා නම් අපි age එක 18යි කියලා දානවා. ඕක තමයි එක ක්‍රමයක්. object oriented වල ඕක මොකද උනේ? object එක හදලා අර object එක a කියලා ගත්තොත් a dot උනා. ඕකනේ උනේ. සාමාන්‍ය ක්‍රමේදී procedure base එකේදී මේ dot කතාව නැහැ. නිකම්ම assign කරා. දැන් මම ආපු ප්‍රශ්නේ value එකක් assign කරන්න තියෙන එක ක්‍රමයක් ඕක. One way of assigning value to the variable is that this one. What's the other way? මොකක්ද අනිත් ක්‍රමය?
පළවෙනි line එකෙන් sir variable එක define කරලා දෙවෙනි line එකෙන් assign කරන්නේ.
ඔව් ඒක program එකකින් program එකකට කරන්න දෙපා. දැන් අපි program එකක් හදලා user ටනේ දෙන්නේ. program එක හදලා user දුන්නාම user will be able to assign the values. සාමාන්‍ය user කොහොමද assign කරන්නේ? අපි assign කරන value එක දන්නේ නැහැ. ඒක user
input
depend වෙනවා. user input එකක්. ඒතකොට user input එකක් වෙන්න ඕන. that's correct. ඒක හරි. ඒ විදිහට ක්‍රම දෙකක් තියෙනවා. එකක් තමයි just line එකේ assign කරන්න පුළුවන්. other one user input එකක් විදිහට දෙන්න පුළුවන්. right. එතකොට මෙතනට එන්න නැවත creating objects syntax එක මෙතන දීලා තියෙනවා main program එක ඇතුලේ class name and object name. Right. This line explaining how to create the object. To create the object, first use the class name, then object name. Then how you are going to assign the values, that second line, this line explain how to assign the value. Object name dot yes, method or attribute, right? It should be member attribute. Dot operator එකේ ඉන්නේ. මේක තමයි මතක තියාගන්න ඕනේ කාරණය. Object name එකත් එක්ක dot operator එකේ දාලා. dot එකට එහා පැත්තේ එක්කෝ attribute එක නැත්නම් method එක. බලන්න මේ example එක. main program එක ඇතුලේ student S1 කියන්නේ object name. S1 කියන්නේ object එක. එතකොට S1.name. name කියන්නේ class attribute එක. name කියන්නේ කොහෙද තියෙන්නේ? ඒක class එකේ තියෙන්නේ. මොන class එකේද? student කියන class එකේ. name කියන එක තියෙන්නේ student කියන class එකේ. එතකොට student කියන class එක කොහෙද තියෙන්නේ? මේකේ student කියන class එක අර ඉස්සෙල් example එකේ තියෙනවා. මේ තියෙන්නේ student class. ඒකේ තියෙනවා name කියන attribute එක. එතකොට name කියන attribute එක අපි value එක දීලා තියෙන්නේ main program එක ඇතුළේ. student name. ඒ විදිහට age කියන එකට දීලා තියෙනවා value එකක්. මේක එක line එකේම value එක දීලා තියෙන්නේ. මේ තියෙන method එකට call කරලා තියෙන විදිහ. එතකොට method එකක් තියෙනවා. There is a method available inside the class student method available called talk. Talk is the method here. How you are going to call this method through the main program using the object name with dot operator, then method name. Right. I think it is clear. Is there any doubts or unclear thing? මොනවාරි පැහැදිලි තැනක් තියෙනවද? මේ දැන් වෙනකොට ඔයගොල්ලෝ දැනගෙන ඉන්න ඕනේ ක්ලාස් එකක් හදන්නේ කොහොමද? ක්ලාස් එකේ attributes and behaviors අපි define කරන්නේ. විශේෂයෙන් attributes define කරන්නේ කොහොමද? ඊට පස්සේ object හදන්නේ කොහොමද? ඊට පස්සේ ඕකේ relationship එක. මේ ටික තමයි අපි දැනට මේ දක්වා ඉගෙන ගත්ත කරුණු ටික අපි එක්සැම්පල් ටිකක් කරමු. එක්සැම්පල් වැඩිපුර අපි කරනවා. එතකොට අපිට අයිඩියා එකක් එනවා මේ ඔබ්ජෙක්ට් ඔරියන්ටඩ් වලින් ප්‍රෝග්‍රෑම්ස් කරන්න. හොඳයි. එතකොට මේ PDF එකත් ඔයගොල්ලෝ දාගන්න. මේකේ ස්ලයිඩ්ස් 3ක් තියෙනවා. මේ නෝට්ස් නෑ. හරි. වෙනම නෝට් එකක් කියලා එකක් නෑ. මේ PDF එක ඔයගොල්ලෝ ෆෝල්ඩර්ස් හදන් ෆෝල්ඩර්ස් වලට දාන්න print out එහෙම ගන්නවා නම් ඒව අරගෙන maintain කරගන්න. Right. Okay. Then again back to our activity session. Right. තව තියෙනවා activity එකක් බලන්න try කරන්න මේක. Get ready to start this activity. Again 8 questions. ඔයගොල්ලෝ ඉස්සෙල්ලා open කරගත්ත එක ඇති. ඒක වෙනස් කරන්න එපා. group දෙකක් ඇති. පළවෙනි group එක ඒකේ තමයි ගොඩක් අය ඉන්නේ. දෙවෙනි group එකේ 10 දෙනෙක් විතර ඉන්නේ. Right. Now I am going to start the activity. Then after I am starting from here, then you can start the activity, right? Here also 6 minutes available. Within 6 minutes, try to complete the activity. Right. Second class activity code room code එක මම දෙන්නම්. ඒක ඉස්සෙල්ලත් මම දීලා තිබ්බා. EWEJ7. This is the activity code for second classroom, right? I am posted it again. Now you can get this activity code through the chat box also, right? Right now I am going to start the activity for both rooms. Right? This is the first one. Right. I think the time is over for the both the session. If you are having trouble, that sometimes you will have some trouble. It says maximum number of student reach. In that case, you can use other class code, right? I am that giving two class codes. If you are having trouble with one class code, then use the other one. Let's say I'm giving two class code. Okay, for this activity, the time is okay. Then we'll see the answers. Normally, you wrong with question number 5. You have trouble with question number 5. Most of you are struggle with question number 5 in both. Yeah. Then question number 2 also struggle with that. And second class code students, they are struggle with question number 2. Right. Okay, we'll see the answers and we'll discuss the question. Correct order of steps to create C++ double OP program. Right. Then what's the order here? Without seeing these answers, then remember what's the order. The first you want to create the class. Once you create the class, then you want to assign attributes and methods. Define attributes and methods. Then once you define attributes and methods, then you want to create the object. Right? These are the main 3 steps you want to follow the order. The first, creating the class. That means answer 1 or 2, A or B. Creating class. Then after you creating class, you want to define the attributes and methods. The second answer says define attributes and methods. Then creating objects. Right. Therefore, the answer should be second one, B. Answer B. Next question. The following is the correct syntax to creating class classes in C++. Yes or no? Make a correct syntax එකද කියලා අහන්නේ. Right. Is that correct? Is that yes or no? Can anyone tell me the answer for this one? No. Why? That some of you are saying no. What's the wrong with this code?
Member functions.
Member functions. Why? Here not specify any member function. Therefore, we can just write down. It's only a syntax. Syntax එක නේ නිසා මේ විදිහට ලියන්න පුළුවන්. මේකේ වැරද්ද තමයි එකක් තමයි මෙන්න මේ class keyword එක. Keyword must start with simple letters. Keyword දෙක simple වලින්ම වෙන්න ඕනේ. Capital letters use කරන්න බෑ. ඒක එක එකක්. අනික at the end of this curly brackets, that means closing curly bracket, here you want to put the semicolon marks. At the end of the closing curly bracket, you must include the semicolon mark here. That's the errors of this code in here. Therefore, statement is no. Next question. The following is a correct syntax to create in the class called vehicle that having the attribute color and behavior break. Yes or no අහන්නේ. What can you say about that? Oh. Let's start with class, then name of the class. The name of the class, you can use any letters. When you are specifying the names for the class, then no problem. You can specify, you can use any letters, simple or capital letters, right? It is no problem. Start with capital V. Right? That's a name, just a name. I think you can remember the rules you want to follow when assigning the variables that last semester. Right? I think you learned the rules you want to follow when assigning the variables in programming. The same set of rules you can use here also. Right? When you are giving the names for the identifiers, right? In this case, class names, it may be object names, right? That any kind of identifier, you can use the same set of rules here also. Right. Therefore, no problem. You can start with capital letters when you are assigning the class names or object names. Then curly bracket, okay, open. Here, class variable or class attribute here. Then public access specifier, void break here, method, then curly bracket, open and close. That empty body, that's no problem. Therefore, the statement is correct. Answer, yes. Next one, the correct syntax to creating an object called mango in fruit class. What's the answer for this one? Can someone tell me? Here, class name is available. Class name is fruit. Object name also given. Therefore, what the correct syntax? Yes, B. First, class name, then object name. Yes. Right. Then we'll move to next one. The correct statement to assign 25 to the age attribute of student object in person class. Class name is available. Object name is also available. Then attribute also available. Attribute is age and value. Then you want to guess the relationship. When you assign in the values, the first start with object name. Here the object name is student. Therefore, answer should be second one. Yes, second one. Student, then dot operator. After that, you want to assign the attribute name. Attribute name is age. Student dot age equal 25. Therefore, answer B. Next one, all objects in C++ must be created in the class declaration. Object must be created, should be created where? Not in the class. It should be in the main program. Therefore, the statement is false. Next one, dot operator is used to assign in values to class members. Yes, dot operator is used to assign in values to class members. What can you say about? Tell someone, is it correct? The statement correct or not? Yes. The statement is correct. Class member mean it may be attribute or behavior or method. Behavior mean method. It may be attribute or behavior. Right? Whatever the member, attribute or behavior, if you want to assign in the value, these values you want to assign in the main program using the dot operator. Using the dot operator. Therefore, the statement is true. Right. Then next one, it is not necessary to use class names to create object. It is not necessary to use class name, but we learned here you must use class name to create the object. must use the class name. Therefore, the statement is false. Right. That's the questions we discussed so far now. Okay, we'll move to the next part. Then the next part, I think we should have to do some programs, some examples, a few examples we want to complete, right? Yes, here we have two examples. Okay. Before we going through these examples, I think we do 2 hours now, close to 2 hours. Today our timetable, I think we can do up to 1:30, 5 hours, I think. We started in 8:30 a.m. Normally we are doing 8:30 to 10:30 or 10:45. Then I will give the first break to you. Right. Then I am starting half an hour from now. Right. Half an hour from now. Then I am going to continue until 1:15 or 1:30. Right. Okay. Therefore, now you can get a break. We'll start 11:20. Yeah. 11:20. Half an hour from now. Right. Okay. Okay, then back to the lesson again. Can you hear me now?
Yes, sir.
Right. Okay, then we are now going to do some practicals. And I think now you can see our next activity here. Here you have two activities: create a class called a person and create an object called P1 from that class. Then P1's name is Amal and 18 years old. P1 always says hello world. Right here there was some statement there. Then you want to determine the class and the object, then object attributes and methods. Right. Then after you determine these points, then you want to start build up the relationship between these things. That means the C++ program. That first try with yourself. Then I will give time to you a few minutes. Then after that you can then I can correct that. The first you can do it using your code block writer. After doing it, then you can copy that code set of code to here, right, in this editor. Then after that you can submit it, right? Like that. That's the way you want to do it. The first do it in the code block, then after that you can copy to in this editor, then submit the answer. Right. Start with yourself now. I think all of you are familiar with the code block, right? I assume that all of you are familiar with code block or any other type of compiler, C++ compiler, whatever the compiler. I don't mind that. Whatever the compiler, write down the this code for this program and then copy it to in this editor. Right. Start it now. Any problem you can ask me. Try to submit that whole program. Try to do something with yourself, then submit it, right? Then Gayatri doing only class person. I think accidentally you submitted that one. Don't worry about that. Complete and submit it again.
सर अनित कोड के एक्टिव स्टार्ट करला नाही तर ऍक्टिव्हिटी
Right, Inas Samad, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Right, this is your program. That earlier I described all the things, but that
Okay.
unfortunately my mic is muted, right? But in that case, please remember me to unmute the mic. I forgot to unmute it, but I explained all the things that earlier cases, right?
Yes.
Okay, and, we'll see your one here. Right here, class person, public void talk. Yeah, that's correct. Yes, this one is correct. We'll compile it. Here saying some errors. Include that hash symbol. You want to put hash symbol when starting it. Include. Okay, now 0 errors, 0 warnings. Right, your first one is okay. Then did you complete the second one?
No, sir.
Still not, no?
Complete.
Okay.
Still not.
After completing, submit it, right? Then we'll see another one. Sumeda Bandara, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Right. Here I am going to discuss your answer. Here having your one. Person, okay, public, string, void, right. Okay, this one is correct. This is the answer exactly I want. No need to build actually. Then second one, we'll see the second one also. Right. Here you are creating a class called cal, then two public variables num1 and num2, then get some right. Your method here, it should be also public method.
Okay, sir.
Otherwise that outside the members outside the class, right, it will not accept. Therefore, when you are assigning the members in the class, make sure that all the members should be in public.
Okay, sir.
I think others are okay. Right. Okay, that's okay. Your one is correct, right? Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
තව එකක් බලමු. Another one. චාමර සඳකැලුම්. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Right. අපි බලමු ආගික. හොඳයි. එකේ ගැටලුවක් නැහැ. එක compile one error says here when you are using this code block compiler, remove the .h part, right? Now 0 errors and 0 1. That's okay, your one. Then second one. Yeah, I'm not going to take it to the compiler. Okay. I think your one is correct, right? Therefore, no need to get it into the compiler. Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, I think most of you are doing it correctly. Anyone need to get your one? Anyone need to check your answer here? කාට හරි ඕනේද තමන්ගේ ආන්සර් එක බලා ගන්න? මට නම කියන්න ඕන කෙනාගේ. What's your name? Hashana. Hashana. In which group? You are second one or first one? Hana. Oh, this is the one you, Hana. Language, no? Right. To see your one. It is this your one here. You are starting it correctly. We'll see compile. Right. Once you compile it, that there are some errors. The first error coming from the first line, include IO stream. Remove that .h part. When you are, if you are using that code block, this compiler compile accepting without .h, right? Then here need using namespace standard. Using namespace standard. That statement is need. Then class person, the creating class is correct. Then you defining the values. You have two attributes, name and age. It is correctly define it. Then you have public method, void says. Public method. The method name is says. That's output hello world. Then no need semicolon for this case here. End of the method. The semicolon need for end of the class. Right? The class you are starting here. Then the ending bracket is here. With the ending bracket, it need the semicolon mark. Right. Then main program in main. Then person here, I can see some small dot here. When you are creating the object, no need to put any dot, anything here. Just put a space. Person, put a space here. Then object name p1. Then you can assign the values p1 dot name, p1 dot age, p1 dot says. Then at the end of the main program, the curly bracket relevant to the main program here, closing one, no need semicolon. Right? No need semicolon for the end in the main program. Now we can build it. Still saying some errors. Read the error. private within the context that earlier I mentioned it, that error, that variable name age, you are using this name and age, or says these variables you are using outside the class, right? If you are using outside the class, all the variables should be in public. By default, it's set as private. That is why that error arises in here, private variable. Therefore, all the class variables should be in public variable. Therefore, you can add the word keyword public like that, then you can build it. Again, line number 20 error.
Sir, name data type char.
Yes. Yes, thank you. Here it should be string, right? Okay, now 0 errors and 0 warning. Right, now your program is okay. I think your first one is okay. I think still not complete the second one. Complete the second one and submit it, right? Okay. I think now 60% of you are submitted. Still having some of you to submit. Kamara, then Vishwa, Dasun, then Sumeda. Oh, Sumeda, I don't know. Heshan, Vatsala. Then you have to submit the here. Anjana, Ashik, Nasla, Chamar, Sandakalun, right? I try to submit those things, right? Okay. I think then anyone need to check your answer again? Right. In this example, the first one is just create a class and give in a message. The second one is add two numbers. Right here, I am going to do with. I'm going to show you to create the second one. That those who are not exactly familiar with the designing this programming, then get idea about how to design in it. Then we'll see. The first thing is you want to assign the header files, include the IO stream, don't use the .fetch part, right, for this compiler. Then using